So it's a long, mixed day that ends in what one might call a serene and beautiful night. The large, round silver of the moon just bathing the downs around you in this almost magical silver glow as it casts its light across the many barrows out around you. The swaying of the grass under the light breeze almost gives it, adds to the mystical quality. But your fellowship is a mixture of emotions running through it. You have the horn, finally, the horn that your fallen companion, Orodrith, the prince from Dol Amaroth, had sought and never seen, is now in the possession of the Rohirrim, Moira, carefully wrapped in a cloth for safety. You were set upon by bandits as you exited the tomb, however. The surprise of the encounter left Erefor wounded, and if not for the ministrations of the Hobbit Lily, this might have been his last. This might have been his last night here on Middle Earth. Freshly bound, other wounds tended to, a camp made. What is it your fellowship wishes to do? Wari the dwarf, thinking, had taken one of these bandits prisoner, and he now sits bound and prone against this great monolith outside of the tomb.
Lily is still, she's tended to wounded, and she's just sort of sitting at the moment, staring at the swan-hilted dagger, still kind of stunned that she killed a man with it. She's going to be in that state for a while, I think.
Erefor, you sit beside the fire. Off in the distance, you can hear the bandit kind of whimpering over his the gag that's been placed over his mouth. You look at Moira across the camp. She's brushing down Isfael as she does every night. What do you wish to do?
Erefor is just sitting down, his back leaning against that large monument outside the tomb that they had encountered on their way in. Resting, he's covered in bandages across his chest, across his stomach, some on his face, from the healing that Lily had done to him that's still kind of setting in. And he would just hear the whimpering of the bandit and would turn over to everybody else. I don't know what you guys are planning on doing with him, but someone needs to keep him quiet. I'm trying to sleep.
And Badu was probably standing nearby where he was, looking out to the rest, to the open downs, making sure that nothing else is coming around, kind of taking a watch position. And when Erefor mentioned that, he would just turn around almost like just a half turn so that he was standing sideways, standing over the bandit, and said, "Oi!" And he kind of lean down and slap him on the back of the head or something to basically shut him up. Probably unsuccessfully, only making him more frightened.
It stops him for the moment, but as within seconds, as you kind of move away, it starts again. You sense that this man is afraid for his life, not knowing what you all intend to do with him. Wari sits in silence, off in the shadows, just on the outskirts of the small fire that you guys have started. You could see him sitting in the high grass on a stone. He seems to be rolling over slowly in his hand this shattered dagger. Every once in a while, he'll look up at the rest of you, and then his eyes go back to this hilt that he holds in his hand. Moira, you're just about done brushing down your horse, who fought bravely and honorably in the fight, allowing you to keep not only yourself but your comrades safe, probably saving the life of the ranger, Arafor. You have the horn.
Moira's thinking, turning over the past few days' events, the night, finding the horn, and wondering if even such a fabled artifact could provide aid in such dark times. When the shadow is so omnipresent, even men, even simple men, fall to it, robbing graves, threatening travelers. She can feel the pull to the north of whatever shadow is there. She wonders if it's inescapable.
But your mind is not always filled with thoughts of shadow. You have fonder memories that make their way in there as well. You think back to your time with the knight Arodrith as you rode north from Tharbad to the village of Bree. He spoke almost incessantly of his life back at Dol Amarath. Wait, am I saying the right place? Hold on.
Yes.
Okay. And he spoke of the horn that he was quested to find in order to restore the honor of his family's name.
Yeah, there's a half smile that forms as she remembers his exaggerated descriptions of his brother and his father and of life in Dol Amroth. She can
Truly.
almost picture it.
Yeah, he spoke of the tall spires built upon the great cliffs overlooking the blue ocean. He would say that the spires themselves looked like they were almost covered in silver in the glittering of the morning light as the spray of the sea would coat the walls, the lower walls. But he also spoke of the horn. He spoke of its power. He would do it almost reverently. And it does make you wonder, does this horn hold magic? Or is it just the fancy tales often told by men?
She turns these thoughts over in her mind, and as she puts the brush away, she retrieves the horn from her pack and unwraps it, looking at its pristine condition. She goes to sit next to Arafor. What do we do with it?
Well, if memory serves, the task in its entirety was to return the horn, was it not? Means we'll have to travel down south all the way if we want to truly call it fulfilled. Will be a long journey.
I I'd not
You
thought
had
to go
some-
south again for a long time.
Well, you had some reservations about it even last time we talked. You said perhaps it was more important to take other matters first. I'll leave that up to you in the end. But it is quite out of the way. It will be our full attention if that's the way that we go.
Perhaps our first order of business is to return to Berelas and see what her task requires. If we can weaken the shadow. Then I
It
would
will
do
be
that
dangerous,
first.
you know. Keep the horn with us as we go. If something were to happen to us while we were gone, it would be lost again. I'm not saying that that should override what you said regarding Berelas and the ring, but we should at least keep it in consideration that we are taking a risk. It might be worth the risk anyways, but it is a risk.
She nods and just kind of chews her lip as she stares out. Lily, how are you feeling?
Lily looks up. She's been not really paying too much attention to their conversation. And she looks up. She says, "You know, I killed a man tonight. I've never killed a man before. It's not like a warg or a goblin." And I used Ordroth's dagger. She looks at the beautiful dagger. Oh. Were you talking about what to do next?
Any person who's given in the shadow and its corruption, like these men had, they're closer to orcs than they are to people. I know that might not ease your thoughts right now, but
Oh, I know
you do
we
not need to
had
have
to.
sympathy for the same people, for them, as you would from the people we saved near Bree, for example.
I know
These
we
were
did what we had to do. It's just, I've never done that before. It's a terrible thing.
I would say you get used to it, but sadly, it's not really the case, at least for me.
I don't think you should. If we get used to it, we'll be like them.
You know, you guys notice, the three of you, that the whimpering of the man off on the other side of this menhir has stopped, almost as if he was listening to your conversation.
And actually, noticing that, Lily stands up. Says, "You know, I'm going to go talk to him. He may be almost an orc, but he's still a man. And we can't treat too lightly what we do with him." And she's going to go and see what's going on with this prisoner. So I would imagine she's going to walk around the men here. And what does she see? Is he still there?
Yeah,
Really properly bound?
he is bound. He's bound at his ankles. Badu had taken one of their spears and broken the shaft and put it behind his back, and his arms and hands are bound behind his back with the use of the shaft of the spear. He's seated, his back resting against the worn stone of this large marker. And he looks up at you, his face dirty, streaked with tears, his eyes bloodshot. You could see that his nose has been running, and the snot is just running down across the freely across the gag that has been tied around his mouth.
How old does he look like he is?
You would probably, it's hard to say because it looks like he's lived a hard life. His hair is greasy and matted. His hands dirty as well. The armor, if you could call it that, is really a mismatch of leathers and hides that have been sewn together to afford him some protection. You would probably say mid 20s, maybe.
Lily looks at him, and she decides she's going to talk with him. So she takes the gag off.
The minute you take the gag off, you see that he's missing many of his teeth, and those that he does have are fairly rotten. He says, "I ain't no orc."
No, I don't think you're an orc. Are you injured?
You notice that there's it's almost was hard to see at first, but you see a clot of blood in his hair where he had taken a blow from the dwarf and probably knocking him senseless.
She digs through her healer kit, gets her water skin out, and actually cleans that up.
You can see that he's very wary of you, and kind of pulls away a little bit at first, but then when he realizes you're not going to hurt him, he kind of sags and lets you clean. Every once in a while you hear him kind of just wince as you press and clean out the wound.
Right, and then she puts a salve on it that will help it to stay clean and heal properly, and maybe even cut the pain a little bit. Like, what are you doing here? Why were you attacking people in the barrows?
One's gotta earn a living, feed himself, feed his family. Seemed like not the best work, but it's a living. Didn't mean to attack you. We were looking for Thomas. Lad was talking about having this map to his downs, to a barrow treasure. He's just kind of babbling. You see he's trying to pick his words wisely, but you get a sense that not just the claw upside the head has dulled this guy's wits. He's probably not the smartest of the band that you just fought.
She's like, no, just stop. You need to speak the truth, and I can tell the difference.
What you mean? You attacked us. All you had to do was just walk off. We just wanted the treasure. We were defending ourselves.
No. You were defending yourselves with all of your arms out, encircling us. No.
Well, yeah. We didn't know what you was going to do.
It. We would have been glad to walk off and let you look. We told you that you wanted her horse. Not you, but your band were going to steal her horse. We can't have that.
Wasn't me that wanted the horse. That was Clive. It was always a greedy one, that one. Not me.
Well,
nope. You guys could have walked away.
Maybe we could have walked away from you, but not from Clive. Or the others. You need to find an honest way of work. This will destroy you.
Well, you know. You know, only half a man.
I may only be half your size, but I'm more than twice your age.
Bet you've never had to work an honest day in your life. Always had everything handed to you, I bet.
I've done my share of good, honest work. I've done my share of digging, plowing, planting,
He looks at
gathering
your
food.
as you're saying that. He looks at your hands. Now he's felt your hands. I almost called you Moira. Lily, does he feel the hands of a farmer, or does he feel the hands of a healer?
They're hands of a healer, but she wasn't. I mean, she didn't sit around and do nothing but healing.
Right.
She
So
worked
there's
on the
probably
farm too.
There's probably some callous to it, but he spits in the ground anyways, off to the side. Tending a garden every once in a while isn't what I'm talking about, girl.
She looks at him. I'm a healer. I tend more than gardens.
Arafor is going to shout from where he's listening behind the statue. And she's killed a warg. Scarier things than you. What have you done?
He kind of stops. He's probably he's midway getting ready to give you another nasty retort. Lily, when he stops at hearing that, he goes, and he's kind of narrows his eyes at you and he says, not bloody likely. Little one like you. Kill one of them big beasts. Now him there, and he kind of motions with his head towards Badu. I see him doing that. The giant of a man.
You'd be surprised at what you don't know. What is your name?
What you need my name for?
I'm Lily. I like to know who I'm talking to. I'm Lily Took.
My friends call me Larry. But you can call me Lawrence.
You know, you sit in a difficult place.
He slowly nods his head. He tries to look strong and fierce as he looks at you, but you can see the fear hidden in his eyes. Lily, what you intend to do with me?
I'm not entirely sure yet what they intend to do. I intend to let you live, if possible. I've no need or desire for killing that doesn't need to be done. So don't make it need to be done. And she looks at him very sternly.
So you can give me an intimidation roll, Lily. You tried to intimidate this.
All right. It's a total of 8.
Yeah. You can still, I mean, he still has this fear hidden and it's seen only through his eyes because they're kind of shaking a bit. But you can see that he's kind of steeled himself. He still maybe doesn't believe the whole story of the warg. And so he just kind of just stares you down. Doesn't say another word.
She calls back to Arafor. Arafor, should I put the gag back on him? Did you want to talk to him?
I have nothing to say to people like him. If he keeps quiet through the night, then so we just let him go and find his way out of the barrows. Otherwise, I have nothing of interest in him.
Lily nods. Can you keep quiet, Lawrence, or will I have to put the gag back in? Or Badu, did you have anything you wanted to know?
Right as you say that, Lily, Wari hops down off of the stone he'd been sitting on, tucks the dagger back away, hidden away in one of the pockets in his vest. So that's it. You just got to let him go? After he almost nearly killed us? Him and his mates?
He's a nobody, Worry. He wasn't in charge of that. He's just was used.
Is that what you thought when you took that arrow, Lily? Or when Arafor was almost gutted with that spear? Those are nobodies too. Almost took your arm, Lily.
But I can't be like he is.
You let him go, he'll just do it to somebody else. And he's the dwarf. You can just see on his face. Something has changed in Wari. A certain callous steelness is in his eyes as he kind of walks closer. I mean, he's still several paces from where you are, Lily, next to the
right.
guard, but he's probably split the distance between where Arafor is leaning up against the same stone with Moira.
She actually goes and steps between Worry and the prisoner. Worry, don't do anything. It will be not because of him, but because of you. You can't afford to do that to yourself.
Chances are he won't make it out of the Downs alive anyways. Just let him be.
So wouldn't we be doing him a favor then? Right?
No, we give him the chance.
We're not murderers, Wari.
And we can't be.
Someone steals where I'm from. You're either banished or they're thrown to the pit.
Considering you almost got us killed for stealing from that tomb, you have no place to talk, Wari. We should banish you by your own rules.
Yeah. Your words sting him, Arafor. The truth of them does. And he puts his hand up and kind of blows out whatever retort he was going to have, and he left it unsaid, strokes his beard, and then walks off. I should say more stalks off than walks.
Badu was standing more towards the edge of their little camp, looking out into the distance. He was standing pretty still. You know, he was kind of had a bit of a 1,000-yard stare on him. And as Wari kind of starts to, stalk off in the other direction from the others, he notices and he turns around to see this Lawrence fellow ungagged, and looks like that they've been talking to him a little bit. So he takes the opportunity to kind of head over next to him, and he'll kneel down in front of him, getting really close to his face like he likes to do sometimes. And he leans in really close and he says, "Where are you from?"
He kind of cowers back against the stone as you approach, Badu. Just your sheer size is enough to scare most men. He looks up at you and he tries to sound tough as he says, "Bree. I'm from Bree. Well, outside of Bree. Little town called Staddle."
"Oi. How long you been here in the Downs?"
Fortnight, maybe. Not one to keep track of those sorts of things.
"Oi. What were you chasing Thomas for?"
We weren't chasing him. What have you guys done with the bodies? Have you kind of dragged them away?
Yeah, Badu probably would have cleared enough space to make a camp and room to make a campfire if anybody was prone to it, but he probably would have like slid some of them off to the side, but kind of used it as a probably like to mark off some territory for them.
Yeah, I think Arafor as well would have, before he laid down here, would have gone through to see if they had any supplies, particularly food and water at this point.
You know, that's like better than gold, I think, right now, because you guys are running really low on supplies. You probably find just maybe about 6 days of rations for the 5 of you. And probably about the equivalent of water as you search across the men. You would also find their weapons. Their weapons are really nothing to speak of. They're poorly maintained. The armor as well are much of them, with the exception of the one-eyed leader, the one with the eye patch, and the dwarf with the bright yellow, almost gold-colored beard. You would find that their gear was much higher quality. The dwarf wearing a mail hauberk and wielding a shoot. What weapon did I give him? A mace, I believe. Yeah,
I think it was a mace or a maul.
Yeah, it was a always ring mail, a mace, and what was really a silver ring with a serpent that is formed by a serpent wrapping around the finger, clasping its own tail. The one-eyed chief had the corset of mail, a great bow, and a great bow would probably be his finer weapons.
So with the Badu probably would have at some point then checked out that mace. Was it of a good size? Did it look like just a standard any old mace, or was it maybe fairly well crafted?
Yes, this is definitely dwarven forged.
Okay.
It's flanged, and it's designed to punch through heavy armor, and leaving to devastating effect. It could also be wielded either one, or you feel that it could also be gripped two-handed.
Okay. Badu would probably grab that then actually and pull it aside. He might ask Moira, offer it to Moira, but if she would decline, he would spend some time trying to fashion that to his armor. But he would have, I guess we're retconning now, so he would have probably during the while they were moving them around, brought that over to Moira. Seeing that she's fairly capable, strength-wise herself, he would bring it over to her and kind of, like showing it off, and maybe see if she would take it.
And she just kind of shakes her head, goes, "You're welcome to it."
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, sure, thanks. So he would probably spend some time, he might have dropped one of his hand axes or something, or maybe switched it over to the other side of his belt, and he'd spend some time trying to find a way to fashion it to his armor. He probably would have grabbed that ring and tried to give that to Wari too, if Wari didn't already grab it.
Yeah.
Thought it was neat.
Yep. Yeah. Strangely, Wari seems to since leaving the tomb, seems to be kind of lost in his own thoughts.
Yeah. So
you would maybe approach him later and offer him that ring, if no one else saw it, I guess. So yeah, you guys could take any of that equipment. Also, one of the things that you would searching across all of these outlaws, you would find 65 copper and 35 silver pennies.
Cool. Yeah, so he would have grabbed that in the meantime, then pocketed the ring to save it for later. Pick up some rations. They probably would have divvied all that stuff amongst them equally. Yeah, I think that's just about divvied up some gold or loot, whatever. I think that's just about everything that Badu would have done with them if anyone else is doing anything.
Yeah, perfect. So one of the things that Larry would say, and we took a little tangent there as we just kind of retconned back to what you guys would have found on these bandits as you were kind of dragging their bodies off, hopefully throwing a little bit of dirt across them. Yeah. So he says, I believe the question was like, what were you doing in the barrows or something? And he says, we was hired by that dwarf, the gold beard. Him and his friend hired us. Said we'd get a cut of the treasure if we followed Thomas and his father. Take the treasure from him. Weren't gonna hurt him, mind you. We're just gonna take the treasure. But
Aye, you weren't gonna hurt them, just like you weren't gonna hurt us. Is that right?
and he very weakly nods his head.
Moira kind of pipes up because that kind of thinking only works if you have people willing to give over all they have.
Yeah, and you probably, since you met Thomas, you've never met his father, but you're probably thinking these men could have probably overpowered the two of them.
And so at that, Badu, can I make an insight to see if maybe if Badu thinks that he might be lying about something, or maybe not putting, or maybe lying by omission, sort of a deal?
Sure. So what specifically are you thinking he's omitting?
So he's thinking that this guy might just either be playing dumb, or that he's oversimplifying. Badu thinks that there's more to it than what he's saying, and that he's just oversimplifying for sake of not giving away any information.
Yeah, give me the insight check. Yeah.
Ooh, 17.
Yeah, you get a sense that, well, yeah, this guy probably is a little dull.
Yeah.
Probably not the brightest crayon in the box. But you also get a sense that, yeah, maybe he's not telling you the whole story. He seems to be like mixing in a little bit of truth with trying to make himself not look quite so guilty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Badu kind of, he probably noticed when Moira piped up, the way that his eyes, started moving back and forth a little bit. That probably tipped him off. He thinks that, he knows more than he's given on. So Badu leans in closer with just the nastiest scowl on his face, and he says,
"You're not telling me enough."
He kind of he tries to push his back as deep into the stone as he could, and if you almost think that if he could, he would sink into it. And he kind of cranes his head over his shoulder, and he can't see you, Arafor, but he knows you're around this great stone, and just says, "You meant what you said, right? I'm gonna go free."
And Badu would stop him as he did that and slam his hand into the stone in the way of where he was, trying to lean towards, to kind of box him in. He would say,
He's not here. It's just you and me. And what I say is what goes with you. Now tell me what you know.
Yeah, give me intimidation roll for sure.
For sure. That is a intimidation 17 total.
Yeah. You're not certain, but you think that this guy has just wet himself. You can smell the piss. And he looks at you, and any semblance he had of being tough for Lily just melts away. You can see his lip starts to quiver, and he looks at you. He says, "The other one, he said he's going to let me go. I don't have to tell you nothing that I've already told you."
Aye, he can let you go, but who's to say that I won't catch you?
You see his eyes darting around, looking for any ally, and probably finding none. What are you planning to do then?
I might just visit an old friend. Something a little troll-like.
When you say troll, the man just his whole body starts to shake. And then you remember when you were set upon by these guys, they all appeared injured.
Yeah, and he remembers that they said something about the troll. He remembers that specifically, which is why he mentioned it.
It'll kill you too.
Aye,
There was a monster.
not if it's got something to eat first.
Killed two of us before we even knew it was on us. And he looks around at Lily, and off at Wari in the distance, his shadowed form.
Would you like to make it 3?
You wouldn't.
I face nastier things than that. And I would. Just so that you tell me what you know.
What do you want to know? I already told you everything.
You're missing something important, and I won't have it. I'll cut off all of your toes and feed them to you before I give it up.
Gora.
What is that?
It's the golden beard one's friend, the other dwarf. Gora. He was with us a few days back. I heard them talking. They didn't think I could hear them, but I did.
What'd they say?
I don't know. Talking about their master. Some guy named Gorleg. Gorska. Gorlank.
Badu would kind of raise his head a little bit away from this guy, look to Lily and anyone else who might be within eyesight, seeing if they got a kind of an idea of what he may be referring to.
You and Wari know who Gorlank is.
Do we?
Yep. You saw this. You saw the green, the pendants.
But that didn't. Right, we saw the. Were we able to decipher those?
You were, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that is right over my head. Well, anyways.
Remember, it was several sessions ago when you were talking with Berelas after you had confronted her when you realized she was a ring bearer.
Okay, so that's who she mentioned was her. Right. You're right. That was the guy.
The Pendant of Green episode.
Yep. So then he would have probably just looked back to Wari then with more of a kind of, I wouldn't say frightened, but more of a concerned look.
Mm.
And
I was just going to add that if Wari heard, he doesn't give any sign. But the man Larry, he did lean in closer to you and kind of whisper it. It was kind of a forced whisper, so it was probably louder than he intended. Moira and Arafor, you certainly would hear it, and Lily, you're probably close enough that you would probably catch it as well. I believe some of you know that name.
Well, at that, Bud would kind of he would turn back to Wari, and then he would turn back around to Larry, and he would probably bring his hand down off of the statue now, a little bit less, bearing down on him a little bit less, and a little bit more of a conversational tone. You say,
"Was there anything else?"
Shakes his head and he says, "No." He goes, "The other dwarf, he was older, gray beard, always kept his hair in these tight braids. He headed north of the Downs. Said he had to get a message to him."
Hey. Is there anything else that you're leaving out?
He leans closer to you, and you can tell that he's fighting this fear in him. He almost whispers it in your ear. Badui says, "He's a sorcerer. That's what I heard."
Hey. Larry, you've done a good thing telling me what you know. Now I'm going to give you one last chance. If you're missing anything, you'll have hell to pay. But if you're telling me the truth, and that's it, I'll help you get out of here. Close enough, at least. Pest the troll.
You see him kind of looking at you, and he nods his head. You're not sure if he believes you, but he's definitely going to agree with you.
Hey, if I find out that you're leaving anything out of this story here, it'll be your head.
And then he gets up and heads back over, probably heads over to near Wari, and does the same sort of brooding, standing off in the distance that Wari is, facing away from everyone else.
Yeah, perfect. You would probably maybe mention something to Wari as well. Why don't you give me a wisdom save, Badu?
Yeah. That's a 10.
Yeah. You feel that what you did, you needed to do, but some part of you feels that you can't shake that feeling, like to threaten a bound man, no matter how foul he might be, was wrong. You're going to take one shadow due to your threats. What are the rest of you doing, if anything? Are you ready to rest for the evening?
Did Lily notice that ring that Badu picked up?
Yeah, he probably wasn't hiding it. So if she was even anywhere near him when he grabbed it, he probably grabbed it, looked at it, and then turned to Wari and saw that Wari was kind of, off in his own mind, and so he probably would have had it out for some time. So she very well could have seen it.
Because it's not so much that she wants the ring, but she's very interested in examining it. She's like, "Badu, did you find a ring? Did I see that?"
Oh yeah.
And he'd pull it out and kind of look it over a couple times, turning it, and he would show it to her.
Yeah. One of them was wearing it.
Well, that's very interesting. Can she do a lore roll to see if she knows anything about it?
You can.
All right, that would be a total of 20.
Yep. You look at the ring. It's finely crafted. It was probably made by a dwarven jewel crafter at some point. It looks older, but you don't recognize it in any way. It doesn't spark any recognition with regards to any sort of lore.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
to find
we have
ring.
any sort of arcana thing or anything like that. Just looks at, that's a very fine ring you have there, and hands it back to him.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't seem to have any sort of using the quotes magic attached to it.
I thought it was interesting.
And
It really is. I don't know anything about it, but it's really cool.
yeah, and he'll pocket it again.
It's certainly well made.
Yeah. So if nothing else happens, you put the gag back on Larry. He no longer whimpering or crying, maybe believing that his fate, his freedom won by your group. And though you talk,
I think Lily would have given him some water and a bite to eat too.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So one of the things you notice is Wari is very quiet as you're talking to him, Badu, but he does seem to be listening. And you see the same kind of dire look cross his face when you mentioned the sorcerer. What I imagine you guys will set a watch.
Moira will volunteer for first watch. She's only minorly injured and would like to see the others get good rest.
Yeah, I just need 3 people. Whoever's going to take the watch, I just need 3 of them. Wari will be one of them. But you just need the other 3 to give me perception rolls. You could just say it. You don't have to put it in the chat. We'll start with you, Taylor, because you're the first watch.
A whopping 10.
Yep. So you sit through your watch. There's times when you hear things rustling off in the grass. You hear the sounds of some foul creature that's wandering the hills of the barrows, but none of them seem to approach your camp. Your fire is more to offer some light than really warmth, so it's not that big. Who's one that relieves Moira?
Badu would probably take one of the watch shifts as well.
Okay, so I'll have Wari go after Moira then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he smiles weakly at you, Moira, as you go off to your bedroll, and he sits by the fire, throws some more wood upon it, and it seems like you're not sleeping long. I almost said Aerofor, Badu, when you feel Wari gently shake you awake.
Yeah, he wasn't sleeping very well anyways. He's just not super comfortable here. I got a 16.
Yep, perfect. You see, you have a similar experience to what Moira has. Dark things lurk and wander the barrows at night, but for whatever reason, this barrow that you're camped near and this great stone. You're not certain, but you almost think that maybe it wards you some sort of protection from some of these things, or maybe a fear of what lies within the tomb itself. And the last watch will be Lily.
Yeah, Lily will take the last watch. She wakes up because of her shoulder anyway. And she rolled a perception?
Yeah.
Okay, she rolled a 21 total.
Yeah. So your time through the evening goes fairly uneventful as well. And you start to see the lightning of the sky off in the east, and then you start to hear your companions slowly starting to rouse from their sleeping bedrolls.
She comes around and heats up the water for tea as she finishes her watch.
Okay. Yeah, so you start to heat some water for tea. And as you all awake, you're greeted with a beautiful sunrise. And it does a lot to raise all of your spirits, especially with how much of your journey in the barrows has been. You're, by your best count, you're 16 or 17 days searching these barrows, these accursed barrows, for this horn. And now you prepare for the journey out. So I assume Era 4, you're feeling still, you're feeling better. Whatever healing herbs and poultices that Lily had used, it has helped. Your injury from the spear wound is not feeling quite so tender. You see your companions around you rousing and preparing breakfast. You see that Larry is still asleep, leaning against the stone, and the air is starting to warm from the sun rising off in the east. If you guys weren't in the barrows, you guys would think this is a beautiful, serene landscape. But you know death is all around you. But you have that spark of hope. What do you guys want to do?
Arafor, as he kind of stirs, coming into consciousness, his body's still kind of aching from all the different points that he's taken wounds at, but he feels surprisingly good given how he should feel after all that Lily and a night's sleep has done. He would get up, kind of readying himself.
Yeah, you're reminded of your wound, Arafor, like when you do any kind of sort of like bending or any kind of lifting, things that you would normally do and not think twice of. So you feel that stitch of pain as your movement kind of pulls against the wound that is starting to already heal.
Yeah, he would kind of grunt in pain every time he goes to move or lifts his pack, just remembering the pain that it sends across him. But he would push that away as best as he can and just turn to everybody else. Well, I think we should head out as soon as we can. Early morning. Let's get out of these downs finally. I'm sick of this place.
Oi, where are we headed?
Seems like some people have been bringing up the possibility that we go check in with Berelas. I'm not too set one way or the other on that, but it seems to be what I've heard from others. What do you guys think?
I think that'd be good.
I think whatever's going on there is better off under close supervision. Tom has a tendency sometimes to forget that he has dangerous things around. I would go for Berelas.
Wari, who's just kind of roused from his where he was sleeping, he levels a look at you, Lily, and he says, "What do you mean by that, Lily? What are you saying?"
Well, she told us.
Badu would cut in a little bit to Lily's defense.
Wait, Woody, you know damn well we want to be there too. I don't like leaving her alone for too long.
And
Lily just kind of nods.
He looks up at you, Badu, and he goes, and he nods, But then he looks back at Lily. He goes, but he's talking to you, Badu. He goes, but I'm not certain that we have the same purpose or mean the same thing for Berelas.
I wish her no harm. Didn't you say that ring needed to be unforged?
Yeah, and he just nods his head slowly. It's one of those slow up and downs.
It seems to me that would be good. But that would work against the wickedness that's overcoming this world.
Berelas is a good person. I won't be standing for anyone talking ill about her.
No,
Not
no,
even you.
I wasn't speaking of her. I was speaking of that ring.
And Badu goes over and kind of does the bro thing, like puts his hand on Wari's chest, like, you know, getting him back a little bit. And he says,
Oi, let's go get somewhere safe. Take a breather before we go around making accusations.
And
Lily is actually a little concerned about Berelas, but she's not going to say that to Wari the way he is.
yeah, so he looks at you, Badu, and he smiles and he looks back at you, Lily, and he says, my apologies. I misunderstood what you said. But I agree, that ring, she must be freed of it.
Yes, yes. She needs our help. She kind of glances at Arafor, but doesn't say anything more.
Arafor is going to kind of glance over towards Moira and like raise an eyebrow, like, are we sure that we're going back to her? Because he's still not set that's a course, but with everybody else seeming to agree, he'd give in, especially if Moira agreed.
Moira kind of shrugs her shoulders and says, we certainly need supplies. It seems as good a time as any to go back and find Berelas. It's either that or head to Bree to get more supplies.
Oi, which is closer, Ranger?
So if my memory serves me correctly, Bree is on the other side of the forest, so I think Tom would be closer, but I may be remembering that wrong. Would that be right, Lionel?
Yeah. I guess it depends on what map of Middle Earth you look at, because there's not agreement necessarily with the maps. But
he
yeah,
knows this area as well, though, so he would.
Yeah,
he would
yeah,
know.
you would know, and now you know you've spent enough time in the old forest that you kind of know how that ancient wood works. But you spent so much time in the barrows because you were searching. You know, you searched countless barrows looking for the right one that might house this horn. So you're fairly confident. You have about 5 days worth of rations, especially if you're careful with it, which will mean Lily will have to eat like a man and not as a hobbit.
No!
But you might. Yes, unfortunately, that's your despair, Lily.
3
Go
levels
back.
of exhaustion.
Go back to the Shire if you want to eat like a hobbit. But if you want to be an adventurer, you're going to learn that you don't always get 11sies. So yeah, but you think that if luck is on your side, that you could probably be back to Tom's probably within 5 days at the longest, if you set a quick pace, and you're able to avoid the eyes and ears that are forever searching.
Yeah, I think Arafor would remember Berelas's words that the eyes of the shadow are not well searching within the woods, and he's still not convinced that she's right or that he believes her, but it's closer than any other option anyways, so he thinks he's going to take it. Just say, well, the closest place is going to be back with Tom in the forest. If we make good time, it should be 4 to 5 days. We should have hopefully just enough food to make it if we're careful.
You guys hear Larry as he rouses from his sleep. He had this little snore going, and that's how you know he wakes, kind of like a. And he has bleary eyed as he looks out at your fellowship. So you set out that day, and the fair weather holds through the full of the day. You're actually able to make really good time, Arafor. Through the brightness of the sun, you're able to see these markings that you know in your times when you've passed through the downs on ranger business. And so you cover quite a few leagues of travel by the time the sun is starting to drift off in the distant western horizon. Oh, okay. So you're going to cut him free?
Yeah. So I figure Arafor is going to stick true to his word. And he's not going to kill this man. Like, he's not a murderer.
Yeah.
But he's going to say, "Don't follow us. I'll know if you do, and if you do, I'll kind of nod to Badu."
Yeah.
It's like it's like this scene, right? And it's a quick scene, and he kind of looks past you at Badu. Badu doesn't even hear what you say, but he just looks at this great man who now has this crushing mace, and he just looks back at you, Arafor, and you can see it. He's like nods his head, and he like just skitters off. Would you leave him or give him a weapon, like a short sword back, or maybe his bow?
You could take one from one of the bodies, I suppose.
Yeah. So he scampers off, off northward, in the vague direction of where Bree would be. So the day passes, like I said, with no incident, and you find a suitable place to camp, Arafor. And so I need you to make a con save, good sir.
That is a 19 on the die, 22 up.
Perfect. Yeah. You feel your strength slowly starting to return. And your camp is set. Anyone that is going to do a watch, I don't know if you guys are going to keep the same order, but if I could get perception rolls real quick.
Well, Badu would hop in at anywhere in the order with a 19.
Yeah, perfect. So I imagine you guys would follow the same order: Moira, Wari, Badu, Lily, and Arafor. Maybe still being encouraged to get his rest. Forgoes a watch this night. And Lily, important question for you: are you tending to Arafor's wound?
Oh yes.
Okay.
When we stop, she's checking it. She's
okay. So at the end of this, So at the end of this first day,
good things.
Yeah, I'm sure it's really, really. I'm sure Arafor's is eating up all that too. I'm enjoying it all.
I'm sure he is, but you got to make sure those stitches don't pull out.
Right. And I'm sure you've lectured him a few times of, you can't be doing that. Don't stretch. What are you doing bending down? Yeah, probably all those things. Anyways, give me a medicine. Give me a medicine check, Lily, at the end of the day.
That'll be 15 total.
You cut out a second there. What was it? A 15?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the wound looks good. You're a little concerned with some swelling you're seeing around the stitches that you put in, but it seems to be healing fairly well. So you apply more, you change out bandages, apply more of the salve, and you do one of those things where you're like feeling like pawing all over Arafor's face, and he feels a little warm, but maybe maybe you would caution him to maybe not push himself too much until the wound has a little bit more time to properly heal. The blade from the spear went fairly deep. But so your third night goes rather uneventful. You wake up the next morning. You're preparing your camp, and as you do so, you notice to your I guess more startled, bewildered. I don't know what words you guys would use. I'll leave that up to your characters. But you notice Wari is missing. His bedroll is laid out, the blankets rustled, but he is no longer to be seen.
So my perception during my watch was a natural 20. Did I notice anything?
Yeah, you noticed Wari was sleeping. He came over, woke you up, relieved you of your watch.
Huh.
And let's take a break on that. I'll let you guys. Let's take about a 5 or so minute break, so folks can get a drink, use the bathroom, and then we'll pick back up again. Yeah.
Jeff, your doppelganger has not yet been kicked out of the chat, which is shocking.
I know. Usually it leaves after like a little bit, but Shadow Me is staying strong.
We talking about Jeff's doppelganger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what?
What?
Huh?
It just left.
Not for.
I
Oh,
still see
oh,
it.
and
I-
left
I-
for me now too.
I kicked it out.
Okay.
Yeah, Hangouts is acting weird tonight. Kyle had the same issue. He came in. He was in there twice.
Yeah, I got ghosted.
Yeah.
Weird.
Hangouts toolbox is back as an upside.
Oh, not for me.
Well,
Yeah.
I use it to unmirror my overlay so it doesn't look weird.
It's not back for me.
Isn't that weird how it's back for some people, but not everybody?
That is
Well,
weird.
I just don't even have the app at all. Is the issue?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
had to but I got it back down. I checked. I was like, I haven't checked in a while. So I went to add it back, the app back, and it actually added for once. Because I remember when
No,
they
I
when
mean,
they
like
got
I
rid of it.
literally don't even have app icons on my Hangouts at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm in the
have-
same
I
boat
have
with you,
chat.
Jeff.
I have chat and screen share and nothing else.
Yep.
There's not the 3 dots to add apps.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. I've been through it like a million times.
Wow.
They're
Wow,
gone.
that is weird.
Oh,
Yeah, that is weird.
yeah, that's
Oh,
sucks.
I mean, it's been like that for months now. Like it just literally
Yeah.
one day they vanished and they just never came back. Like a bunch of research and
Wow.
like
I'm waiting.
refreshing, like your cache, like deleting history, like uninstalling Hangouts and putting it back in, like all the things, and none of it did anything.
All of the things.
I'm waiting for that glorious platform that totally meets every one of our tabletop role playing needs, but alas, it's not there.
Good one.
Yeah, I know.
Don't hold a lot of hope for that one.
Well, I have a lot more hope for your fellowship though, and let's jump back into this. Moira, you're the first to notice Wari's missing. You're walking past where he was sleeping, and you notice that he's kind of clumped up some grass and leaves and whatnot, and used them to create the appearance of a sleeping dwarf. But as you walk by, you happen to glance down and you notice that that's exactly what it is. That his pack is not there. Wari is gone.
At first notice, Badu would probably start looking around the area. Around any of the hills or any alcoves or any downs that are open. He would be kind of high and low looking for him in the general vicinity.
Yeah. You could give me a survival check if you're looking around the campsite. What are the rest of you doing as Badu? Once Moira kind of brings that to your attention, you see Badu start stalking around the camp, his eyes scanning. Yeah. You can't see any sort of markings or anything. You can't even, as you look across the grass, it's as though he didn't rest a foot, but you've in your time traveling with him in your time traveling with him, Badu, you've come to realize that Wari, though a stout dwarf like any other, seems to have a certain skill of not being heard when he doesn't want to be. And you think that he took extra care to not leave a mark behind where he went, but you can't be certain.
Yeah, well, he knows that War is a sneaky bastard, so if he was going to do something, especially intentional by leaving, something in his place to deceive us, he knows that he probably went for some reason, so he definitely, if he didn't want to be found, he probably wouldn't be. Not that that'll stop him from looking.
So, Badu, do you have any idea why he would go?
No, I don't know. I don't know. He might have found something.
And for Badu, there's a bit of a light bulb, and he thinks,
Oi, what about that chair? That chair.
and he points to Arafor and Moira, like, in his finger kind of waving in the air. He's,
What about that chair that he sat down in it? It gave him visions and whatnot.
Do you think he went back to it?
I don't know. Maybe he was drawn there.
What would the visions have drawn him somewhere?
I don't know.
What do we know about those visions? Yeah, I don't want to go back.
The throne was by the barrow that we found the horn at. Well, to the west of it, but still back in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
Badu,
oops, I was gonna say, Arafa, you know that if what your companions are saying is true, that would bring you back. You would lose the day you've gained.
and Badu's like shifting around really nervously, kind of like hands by his sides, not really sure what to do with them, kind of patting on his legs. His head keeps turning and looking around, hoping that he might see Wari coming back with, some haul or something like that in tow. He doesn't really say anything, but he's just kind of nervously muttering to himself a little bit under his breath.
Yeah, and I think you wouldn't need an insight check to know that Arafor probably doesn't necessarily believe it himself 100% what he's about to say. Like, he would kind of scratch his neck at what he would say. He has been acting awful strange lately. Maybe some alone time will be good for him. We shouldn't be too hard to find.
Alone time in the Barrow Downs. That is great. I love it. So as this conversation is happening, Lily, you happen to notice a folded piece of parchment tucked in underneath some of the grass and bound up leaves.
Seeing that, Lily would immediately go over and take the parchment up and open it up to see if there's anything written on it.
Well, the first thing that the little hobbit would see is that it says Badu. And it's just kind of this very hastily scratched up
But then
writing.
she wouldn't actually open it if she saw someone's name on it. She's like, Badu, I think he left you something here. She
And
trots
Badu,
over towards him.
yeah, Badu would rush over to meet her and slide onto his knees to get down to her level and grab the paper and immediately open it and read what it says.
Yeah, there's not much there. You squint, and so the question I have for Badu is: Does he know how to read, and does he remember how to read?
So I imagine that he hasn't really had to do so since he was, found.
Mm.
But he's not dumb. So I imagine that it's like riding a bike, but you haven't done so in forever. So he's like, oh, he can't really make out the letters, but
Well, it's probably one of those things where he wants to read it in his head, but what he's really doing, he's reading the words and he's saying it out loud. So, because I would say if he knew how to read before he lost his memory, he would know how to read. It's like those certain things that even when you lose your memory, you still hold on to. So reading,
so he would know how to read and write, basic common, but he would probably be struggling a little bit because he's not like a second grader trying to read something.
So it's the letter is, like I said, is very brief. It says, Badu, you have been a stalwart and loyal companion since we've met on the Misty Mountains. I've thought long and hard on this, and while I know you mean well, it does not sit right with me. I mean to make it right. If things go my way, and the luck of all the kings, the dwarven kings of old, is with me, I will see you at Tom's cabin. And it's just signed Wari.
So he probably reads it and then has to read it a second time to make sure that he got all the words right. Because he wasn't quite sure. Eventually, after he finished, he would kind of fold it up and take a deep breath and sigh, almost relieved, but at the same time still really concerned. And he would just sigh and take a minute or two to kind of like process everything, and eventually, realizing that everyone's pretty much waiting on him to see what this letter says, he would say,
I think he tried to go on ahead. I think he wanted to get to Berelas quicker than we could. He can see in the dark really well, so he probably left in the night.
and he kind of looks off in the direction that they're headed.
Let's hope he knows the way.
Can we, are we suspicious? I mean, can we tell that whether or not he's comfortable saying what he's saying?
Badu?
Yes.
You can give me an insight roll, and I'll let Badu tell you if he's holding anything back based on the roll.
Okay. It comes to a total of 20.
Yeah, so it's definitely, so you can definitely tell that he believes that was the interpretation, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like an 80% certainty, and you can kind of tell, and it might have seemed like it was hiding behind concern, but he's also not quite sure whether that's the case or not. So that's his interpretation of it as he sees it, but there may be more.
All right, because he knew he was a little antsy,
Yeah.
It's just kind of like.
So maybe if I'm reading you correctly, Kyle, what you're saying is Badu wants to believe what he believes, and that's what it is, that's what Wari is doing, but maybe there's some semblance of doubt that he's not sure.
Yeah, that's definitely it. So that's what, based on what he read, he's like, and what he knows, he thinks that he tried to head to Tom's because he was more concerned about Berelas and wasn't quite sure how the rest of the party felt about her. So he went on ahead, but there's that little sliver of doubt that says, well, maybe he meant something else by it, and maybe he's going a little bit rogue here.
Perfect. Yeah. So what is another glorious morning is now clouded by this revelation that one of your companions, one of your fellowship, has disappeared of his own making. The reason for which still is a mystery to the rest of you. You guys set back. You bring your fellowship back along the path towards Tom's Arafor, leaving Wari to whatever fate his decision has brought him.
Yep, it's clear to Arafor that Wari has made a decision to do something on his own. And given that Wari is not exactly Arafor's top of the list right now with the stunt he pulled in the tomb, he's going to let him do his own thing and continue on.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, just give me a survival roll, Arafor, as you lead your group, and I believe you have advantage. Yeah. Is it advantage, or you get plus crazy to it because it's your chosen ground?
I get a lot of pluses.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
A natural 20 on the die for 26 total.
Yeah. So as you're leading your fellowship, you actually probably have this moment of, how did I miss this before, as you were searching and your journey southward in the downs. But you get to a point and it's so clear to you. You take your group that way and you feel that you've probably cut a day off your journey by the time the day ends. And to only make it even better, it was a day of beautiful sunshine and no sign of any sort of Denzians that live in this locale. You see no bird flying in the sky, and if they are, they're distant away from you. You didn't see any sign of any of those bargas that you had heard of. You didn't even hear a howl or anything. So yeah, as you make camp again, you find a place that you believe is suitable to make camp. Probably one thing that is disheartening is you find no sign of the dwarf's journey. So if he is truly heading towards Tom's cabin, he's either hidden his path from you, which you doubt, Arafor, given your skill in tracking, or he is taking a different path, which may or may not lead him there. Yes. You feel fairly confidently, Arafor, that you've cut a day off in your journey. So you think that you could get there in 3 to 4 days if your luck holds. So again, another night will pass. If I can just get 3 perception rolls, please, from you guys, and you can go in any order.
I got a 13, and Badu would probably take the first watch this night and maybe take an extra long shift if he can to make up for Wari, more so just because he's really concerned.
Okay, so you let Lily rest then.
Yeah, he would probably, if he would go to whoever, probably Moira second, because he knew that she was taking the first watch previously, and then whoever she took. But he would probably take an extra long shift.
Yeah, the order is fine. Just give me a roll, perception roll.
Yeah, that was a 13.
Okay. So I'm just gonna have you guys order. So you first, Moira second, and then Jeff last. Yeah. Or I should say Arafor last. Arafor, as you're sitting there, the sky's still dark. Clouds had moved in sometime in the evening before your watch began. Off in the distance, you can hear the howling of some sort of wild beast. And more troubling is that you hear several others answer. It sounds like it's quite a distance away, but it kind of sets you on edge. And you've traveled through the downs. You know of the Barghest. They're a pack animal, and they travel in rather large packs, and they use that to their advantage to pull down bigger and stronger prey. And even more so, give me a nature roll or survival. That'll probably be nature, Arafor, to see how much you really.
That is, let's see, what's my nature bonus? Nothing. 14.
14, yeah. So you know that unlike most wild beasts, these things have this patchy skin that seems to be a combination of like almost a scale and tufts of fur. They're rather grotesque. They're almost like a perversion of a wolf or a large dog. And you're not 100% certain. It's been some time since you've seen one, and you've never actually had to truly face one, having traveled with groups that are able to keep them at a distance. But you remember one of the rangers you traveled with cautioning you not to let one of those things bite you, or it could be your last. He had muttered something about their saliva being tainted with something foul if it should get into your blood. So so that's what you hear, and then it kind of drifts off. The sky begins to lighten, and you greet it again. Bit cooler of a day, but a glorious sunrise like the others before. You look to the sky, Era 4, even though there's clouds up there. Lily has assured you that no rain will fall this day. And after a quick breakfast, seeing to your gear, you set out. Would you give me a survival roll unless anybody's going to do anything? Awesome. Yeah. You're very pleased, Era 4, with your luck the day before. It has put you on an easier path than the one you took into the barrows. You're making good time again today. Who is the lookout within your fellowship?
I would say that if anything, Badu would definitely have all eyes and ears high in the sky, looking around like a watchtower as they move.
All right, give me a perception roll then if you're the lookout for your fellowship.
He's keeping an eye out for Wari in particular. That's going to be a...
Well, are you looking to the sky, or are you looking for signs of your friend Wari?
Well, no. So he's looking around to see if anything comes along, and at the same time he's just praying that he happens to see Wari slinking about somewhere.
Okay.
So he's not like looking for tracks or anything, but that's
okay.
a 19 perception.
19. You see off in the distance, it almost looks like a wisp of cloud. But as you squint your eyes and look closer, you see that it's small, near black birds quickly cutting a wing at rather quick pace towards your location. You remember earlier in the downs, the Craven agents of the shadow. They're coming from the north.
Yeah, and he would immediately grab Arafor by the shoulder and point directly at them. And he'd say, "Oi, look."
You have but moments to make a decision on what you all are going to do.
Arafor is just going to immediately just do a single scan with his head. I think that's all they would have time for, to see if there's any place at all that they could try to hide.
Yep. Give me I believe survival would be the best skill for that, unless there's another one you think that fits better, Arafor.
All right. That is going to be 16 survival.
Yeah, that's that'll do it. You look off probably about maybe about 60 to 80 feet away. There's a great tree that is now dead and fallen over. You can see that much of its core has at the heart of this tree has rotted out, leaving it almost hollow. You believe that would be enough for many, if not all, of your companions to hide in. But you have to think to yourself, where do you hide Isfael? Both a horse.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really enough time to go for Arafor to think that over. He would just see the fallen tree hollowed out.
To the tree!
And just say, there's the tree, we have to hide now. And just immediately begin gunning for it.
Yeah. Moira, I'm going to always assume you're trotting along with Isfael unless you tell me otherwise. Yeah? Is that fair?
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah, so you would be the first to get there, thundering over. I mean, that's a short, it's not even a much of a workout at all for your horse. And you're there and you kind of turn her and you look, you believe that you could probably lay her down much like you did in the old forest, underneath up towards the crown of where this tree was. Of course, there are no leaves anymore on this great, large tree. There's just this spidered ribbing, or the remains of what was this once great tree's crown.
as real quick, as soon as they pointed out, as soon as therefore pointed out the tree, Badu would probably grab Lily and plop her on the back of Isfael to go on ahead.
Yeah, you kind of read my mind on that.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if you'd scoop up Lily because she's got those little short, stubby legs.
Yeah, he would
Thanks,
just like
guys.
grab her drop and just plop her right in Moira's lap.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so the three of you are that get there first: Isfael, Moira, and the Hobbit Lily. Yeah, you guys can give me some stealth rolls. And the other two, you would kind of, I imagine as you're running over there, you're looking and this cloud is getting closer. There's a good 2 score of these birds flying in, and you're just getting there. So if everyone wants to give me a stealth roll. Oh no. Yes, yeah, that might be a good time to use inspiration, Taylor. Yeah. You duck into this thing. It smells old, and it smells of the earth, and it smells of rotten wood, and it's almost like this sickly kind of sweet smell. Perfect. You hear the squawking of these birds, and you hear that flutter of their wings, and it almost seems cacophonous as it's like you hear them calling out, and it's the seconds drag on, and they feel like minutes to hours. You doubt it's really that long, and then you hear the fading of these birds as they drift off further south.
It's been quiet for a time, and she couldn't hear them. Lily whispers to Moira, "Do you think they saw us?" I don't know.
I don't know either.
Your horse did pretty well, but she's pretty easy to see, too.
And Moira looks with a bit ruefully at the red cloak that she wears. She goes, birds, they don't see in color, do they?
I'm afraid they probably do. In any case, whether they saw us or not, and she speaks just a little louder, we'd better get moving and get out of here.
Yeah, Aerofor, as you hear that, you would know that these birds have exceptional eyesight. It's one of the reasons why they're used by the dark forces.
Well, either way, there's not much we can do about it now. Hopefully they didn't see us, but Lily's right. We have to get moving. We have to stay on track. We have just enough food to get there in time. We can't spare even a little bit.
So the rest of your travel this day is tense, as everyone is constantly scanning the horizon, looking over their shoulder, looking south. You don't see the cloud of Craven again this day as you search and locate another place for your fellowship to camp. So I'm assuming that you guys are doing a small campfire each night. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Okay. So this night, you again set this watch, and it's almost eerily quiet. You can hear the sound of the wind through the grass. The moon is starting to wane. The big silver disc growing smaller with each passing evening. The sky is fairly clear though, and it's kind of still bathes the area around you in this kind of this silver light. So just give me some perception checks real quick. Yeah, if you guys could just decide who your 3 people are at watches rather than all you guys slamming out, that would be helpful for me.
Well, if Airfor's back, Lily doesn't see well in the dark.
Okay.
I don't know that she would have be much use on a watch when it's not absolutely necessary.
Badu
Cool.
would volunteer himself as well. So
Yeah. So if you guys just want to let me know the watch, the watch order will resolve anything that might occur.
Badu will probably take first watch again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take second then.
So the silent, the stillness of the evening passes through your shift, Badu. You quietly nudge Arafor awake. He grunts and kind of rubs the sleep from his eyes and is sitting through your watch. As you're poking the fire and some of the sparks kind of sprout up and new life goes into the flame, you catch movement out of the corner of your eye to your right, Arafor. You turn your head instinctively to look over there, and all you see is your empty bedroll, and off in the distance the swaying of the grass. You wonder if it was just a trick of the light.
And yet we are in the Barrow Downs, and tricks of the light are not
Right.
as common in places like this. So Airfor will still keep himself on extra alert. Just kind of making sure to glance around as often as he can, trying to see what he can see. And still every once in a while kind of closing his eyes, reaching out more with feeling to make sure that this isn't a spirit. Because if it was, he would sense it.
Yeah. Do you have to roll for that?
If there's a spirit, I know it's there.
Yeah. You sense darkness surrounding you. It doesn't feel close. You just feel that sick dark clinging to you as you reach out to it. It's probably something you probably tend not to do this unless you need to. This is a tainted area, or at least near an area that probably has seen some battle in ancient days. Give me a perception roll.
14.
14 again. You hear the rustle of grass. You turn and look. Again, you know that your eyes aren't playing tricks on you, but you're almost certain you saw something move. Almost just out of the reach of the light offered from the campfire. You hear something that sounds as though a stone is pushed off another and it clatters off behind you. You turn and look, and off in the distance, you could see several shadowed forms moving across the silvered grass, hunched, walking on all fours. 3 of them.
Arafor is going to give a light to medium kick to whoever's nearest, and kind of not shouting, but kind of trying to make at least enough noise to wake some of the people up who might be a little lighter, but not so much that he's going to attract undue attention.
Arafor, I'll let you decide who that is. Who of your 3 companions is the closest to you that you nudge away quickly with your heel?
I'll roll for it. It's Badu.
Well, you don't want to trust your judgment. You want to go random.
Well, I just said whoever's closest, so it's not really something that I think.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, but do you feel this heel press into you and quickly shove you awake? Maybe with a little bit more force than you would have intended, but you definitely see these things. They're not coming towards your camp. They're kind of walking at this diagonal, kind of this. Is it tangent? I'm not sure if tangent is the right word. Tangent. But you know what these things are, Arafor. They're Bagest.
And Badu would probably snap his eyes open at the pressure, and one of his hands is immediately towards his belt, where he has both hand axes hanging. And he kind of just very slowly turns his head as he sees in the direction that he sees Arafor looking, and he can just barely make out these. Can he see them from here?
You're coming awake. You're doing that. I just asked Taylor to give me a perception roll for her horse.
Yep. In the meantime, Arafor is going to put the string on his bow just in case, and if you can, try to get everybody else awake too.
Yeah. Yeah, with deaf skill, it's almost like a fluid motion. You have your bow around and you've wrapped it to your leg and you string it, and it's in your hand and ready. And it's at that moment as you're kicked awake, Badu, and you move to action, that the quiet of the evening is just erupts in these howls and an explosion of action as black shapes just descend upon your camp from all sides. I need everybody to roll initiative, please. So how this is going to go is Lily and Moira, unfortunately, you two are still asleep. Arafor, you saw the three that were out on the grass, so you are not, you'll be able to act in this first round, and as will you, Badu, as you're kicked awake. You will start prone, however, Badu. So on your initiative, you'll have to use half of your movement to get up. So we'll start with Arafor. Your bow is strung, an arrow is already on the string and knocked and ready. You see these forms erupt from all sides, and the three that are off in the distance, you can see them cut and start running towards your camp.
Yep, Arafor is going to use some movement and just his basic interaction to step over to Moira, kicking her awake as well. And then he's actually going to kind of stand between her, and if Lily's in a similar spot between both of them and these things.
Yeah, I imagine you guys aren't spread out too far. You guys are all fairly close to one another, probably within 5 or 6 feet of each other easily. You see one of these things, black shapes, and it is just, it's horrifying to look at. To call it a perversion of some sort of large hound or something would be doing it a favor. But you see one of these large ones lunging at you as you go to protect and wake your companions. You could definitely make a shot at it if you'd like before it closes.
I would like, and that is going to be a modified 20.
Yeah, you're gonna hit it.
Alrighty, and that is going to be 9 piercing as you just back the bow before letting the arrow loose.
Yep.
Hitting into this thing. At that point, as he sees it closing and getting closer, he's going to stow that and bring out his shield. He knows how dangerous it is if these things get to you. So he's trying to protect himself and his sleeping companions.
It doesn't make it. You fire your shot. It's a deadly shot. It hits just at the base of its neck and where the neck meets the shoulder on its left side, and it sinks almost halfway the length of the shaft into its shoulder. The thing just kind of and nosedives into the grass and ground and just skids dead to a stop, probably about 8-10 feet away from you. But you see others quickly filling this clearing. Well played, Ranger. So do you still want to stow your bow, though?
Well, there's still. I mean, how far away are the other ones?
Well, you know that they're coming in and they're fairly fast, so you're fairly certain that they'll be on you. And if you want to truly be effective in protecting Moira and Lily as they kind of rouse themselves, you probably think. So I'll let you don the shield. If you want to, if you'll just like toss to the ground your bow, but if you try to stow it, it would probably take too much time.
Yep, I'll drop it.
Okay, perfect.
He remembers what he heard, that these bites are not just bites, and he'd rather have the protection.
It's probably not even, you're probably not dropping it. It's probably this fluid motion where you just kind of bring it down and it just kind of drops behind you as you kind of, with the other arm, flip the shield that's on your back and slip it in. That's something you've probably done countless times. Badu, you're up.
So Badu would, after, Arafor moves over to Moira and Lily, he definitely sees this creature as it comes into the light with an arrow sunk into its back. He immediately rolls over and, upon looking at it a little bit closer, it seems similar to, you said they're wolf-like, right?
If I were going to compare it to something, I said like a wolf. But if you were going to really get a true comparison, think like a bulldog type, large mastiff type thing, but maybe a little bit bigger and a lot uglier.
Yeah. So even keeping that in mind, he would kind of remember the back when he was traveling with Wari and Berelas and that caravan, and he would he would get to his feet and then fumble around and try and pull out a torch and light it with the fire while simultaneously pulling around his axe, and kind of do axe in one hand, torch in the other.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you quickly get a torch and you dip it into the nearby fire and it lights and you raise it up above. You see several of these things closing in on from you, though they tend to, you notice them kind of pause as you hold this torch. Let me see. I'll see if they'll attack you. No, you have 4 of these things. They're just kind of circling or semi-circling around you, looking for an opening. They're kind of yipping at you, and you see this Icarus green saliva dripping from their mouths, and you see their eyes as the torchlight reflects off it. It's almost like this sickly green, and that'll bring us to Lily. Poor Lily, still abed, as 2 of these Bargus fall upon her and try to drag her off. Wow. With advantage, I rolled a 3 and a 5. So
oh my gosh.
What happens is one of these Bargus tries to sink its teeth into Lily's leg to drag her off, but the other one kind of slams into it in its own fervor to get to you. And they actually both stop themselves. So the luck of the Hobbit, I guess, sticks with it, as I rolled a 1 and a 3 with initiative, with advantage. I can't believe that. Anyways, so that brings us to the ones descending upon you. There's 2 that are descending on you, Arafor. So you're imposing yourself, you said, to protect Moira as Moira's getting up.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, they both lunge at you with these slobbering maws, and you're able to push them back with your shield as you're kind of reaching down to draw forth your sword. That'll bring us back to the top of the order. Arafor.
I don't get a turn.
You do not get it. You guys do not get a turn.
That's what I'm still the same.
I thought I got
go.
kicked awake.
Yeah, you did, but just mechanically, well, yeah, I'm gonna let you have a turn, Moira. You're kind of, you still got that bit of grog, But yeah, that's right. As an interaction,
I'll at least stand up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for my turn to be standing up and grabbing my sword. I'm fine with that.
Oh no, you could actually you could definitely get up, draw your sword, and strike at one of these two Bargas that are assailing Arafor. You notice his weapon is not out yet. I mean, you're a warrior, trained as a warrior. I mean, you're probably a little bit like, what the hell's going on? But you know how to fight. And you know how to defend yourself. So you would adjust fairly quickly, I think. So yeah, you could attack.
That's a 13 to hit, which I don't think will.
A 13 will hit.
Oh, excellent. These guys aren't so hard to hit. So Moira comes awake to the snarling and the yapping, and it's just chaos. She can see a little bit in the gloom. These shapes, these shadows attacking. She's gonna swing out at one of them for 9 damage.
Yeah, one of the two that is lunging to get past the shield that Arafor has leaves itself open, and you take full advantage of it as you drive your sword into its side. You feel the resistance of its almost hard, tough, scaly hide give way under the pierce of your blade, and you drive it in. And as you pull it out, you hear the sucking of air as you pierce both of its lungs, and it collapses to the ground. Well done. Arafor, you're up. Moira stands near you. One now, but you have 3 others you see closing in. They'll be here this turn.
Yeah, Arafor, there's the sound, the ringing of steel, shing, as he pulls his sword out from its scabbard, kind of kicking the bow back a little bit to make sure that it's not broken as these things engage with them. And then just brings the sword up and then downwards, just trying to stab the blade right through the base of its neck and sever its neck from its spine. With a 21 and for 11 damage, actually.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you do, Arafor. You know, with one fluid motion, you have your sword free of its scabbard, and then with a downstroke, it's across the back of this Bargas, and it collapses dead at your feet. Badu, you're up. You're holding 4 of these things at bay with this torch as you kind of wave it around at them. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so he is, definitely kind of waving it in front of them. If he goes to one side, and then the ones on the other side come a little close, so he waves it back and just kind of doing that little song and dance with them. He's going to. I imagine he's not very far from the rest of the group, but I
would say you all are within an average of 10 to 15 feet of each other. You're facing one direction, and Arafor and Moira's facing another direction. So it's kind of like this 180 either side.
So he's taken like, very short, purposeful steps though, backwards towards them as he kind of waves this around. And if one of them would get close enough, even with the fire, like he might lean it towards one side and wait till one comes in and try and strike at it before swinging it back around. See if maybe he can take one down as he.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Yeah, I consider that maybe a hold action, because that is what they're doing as you kind of keep one at bay. The other one's they're gathering courage and kind of coming in on you. They want to get you. So yeah, you could definitely have a held action for that.
Cool.
Actually, we don't even have to do the hold action. We just say that one of them does that, so you can make an attack roll and see if you land it.
Okay. That'll be a 10 to hit, or 20 to hit. Sorry.
Yeah, 20 is going to hit, guys.
Yeah.
Moira hit with a 13. So
Great. Swinging my axe.
And if you guys want to roll damage when you roll your attack, that's fine too.
That's for 9 damage.
Yep. Yeah, you bring your axe down into the head of one of these things. Its skull splits. There's a sickening, and you pull it free. Using your axe, you said, yeah.
Yeah, just one-handed, and so he just kind of like hammers it down and then keeps waving it back at the other ones, a little bit more like prodding at them to kind of maybe make them a little bit more afraid as he joins up with his companions.
Perfect. I'm going to have the other three kind of that same dance that you're doing. I'm going to have the other three attack you, but I'm going to give them disadvantage because of the way that you're pushing them back with the... that's going to be a miss.
16 to hit because I don't have my shield.
Yep. And no, you were able to keep them at bay. A couple come, one of them comes fairly close and almost gets into your thigh, but you're able to shift at the last second. Let me see. Then we'll do the two that have advantage against poor Lily. I think this is it, guys. This is when the Hobbit's going to get her. 15. Does that hit you, Lily?
Yes, it will absolutely hit me. I figure I don't have my armor on, so I'm like at 12 or something.
All right. Yeah, so they're both going to hit. So you feel this crunching pain as these two things, one clamps into your thigh and the other one you feel bite into your shoulder, and you feel them tugging you into two different directions. I'm going to need you to make 2 con saves for me, please. Oh. You're going to take 12 piercing damage from them biting you. I imagine Lily yells. You guys would hear Lily yell out.
Okay, we have a 13 and a 17.
Okay, so you're going to make the con saves, so that's good. So
yeah, for the south of it.
Half damage.
I take half damage?
Yeah, you're going to take 3 points of poison damage.
Okay, say take 12 regular points plus 3 points of poison.
12 piercing from the 2 bites and 3. You got really lucky on the poison. And 3 points of poison damage. And you feel these things starting to drag you off into the dark. And there's 3 attacking. I'll have 1 attack you, Moira, the one closest to the one you just killed. And that's going to miss. You keep it at bay. You don't have your armor on, do you?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's okay. I rolled an 8 anyways. I'm imagining you have better than an 8 armor class. So that would bring the action to you, Lily. You feel the blood running down your leg and your shoulder. You look in horror as your face is right near this creature of shadow, and it's dragging you hungrily into the dark. You probably look as the fear sets in that if it drags you there, you know you're done.
Lily gives quite a squeak. Is there only one of them dragging me off?
2. They've got their act together now, Lily, and they're actually working together to drag you. So you know that that's their action next round, is they're going to be dragging you into the dark.
Well, I would imagine that she would have had a chance somewhere to grab her dagger anyway, or that she would even have it on her belt.
Yep. Oh yeah, you probably sleep with that thing.
I think she probably does. Yes.
Yeah, and that's pretty believable.
She grabs that out and just stabs the one on the left as best she can.
The one that's on your shoulder?
Yeah. Where's the other one?
The other one's on your leg. They're on the same side.
Oh, yeah. We'll go for the shoulder one.
Yeah, I imagine it's your right side, your right thigh, just above the knee, and your shoulder, where it meets, where your arm meets the shoulder.
I'm going to hit it with 15.
Yep, that'll hit. Give me damage.
Okay, what do I
D4.
It's a D4 plus 2. Okay. I think I gotta find my D4. Sorry. There it is. And that hits for 3, so that's 5 points of damage.
Cool. Describe for me how this horrified and terrified Lily kills this Bargus that's that's clamped onto her shoulder.
With all of her fear goes into this strike, and she just takes her what seems to be her lucky dagger that she got from Ordreth, and she just stabs right into the face of that thing and happens to get it in the eye.
Yeah, perfect.
And just go right into its head.
Yeah, you feel its jaw go slack and its body kind of just falls and it just kind of shakes a bit. Perfect. Well done.
And Lily gives out another screech. Help! Help!
You scream. Moira, it's your turn.
Moira, hearing this, she hadn't noticed in the chaos that Lily wasn't already on her feet or hiding somewhere, honestly. And she rushes towards Lily. The sound of Lily's terror and pain driving her into a fury. I'm going to recklessly attack.
Okay, so I just want to let you know, so you'll be leaving the threat range of 2 of these Bargus that, because 3 others joined the one that was left for you and Arafor. So you would take 2 attacks of opportunity if you...
That's fine.
Okay, cool, that's fine. Let's do it. Oh. I got a 21 and I got a nat 20.
Oh.
That's the O. So let's do the normal damage first. So you're going to take 6 piercing and then 3 piercing. And I need 2 con saves. And do you want to roll the D20 or do you want me to? Oh, actually, no, it wouldn't be. Give me a D10 because they're just biting you.
Okay, let's see how the con saves go.
Yeah.
So one is a 16 on the die and one's a 7 on the die, which is an 11 total.
Yep. So you're going to make both saves. So you're going to take 2 points of poison damage from the first one and 2 points of poison from the second.
And the D10 is a 5.
All right. Piercing damage.
Don't forget that.
Oh, give me a D100 because I want to see where they got you.
Don't forget that half damage from the rage, Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can someone help me with maths for?
That was 9. So 5 on the piercing.
So 5 piercing.
Yeah, always round down.
Okay.
Oh, 4 piercing.
Yeah.
4 piercing, and then it was what, 6 poison?
It was 4 poison.
4. Oh.
And do you have the poison damage too?
No.
No, it's just mundane damage.
Give me a D100, Taylor. Let's see where
it is a 10 even.
Oh my gosh. 10?
Yes.
It leaps up. You would see this era 4 in horror as one of these Bargus like kind of leaps off the back of the other and attacks and catches her right in the head. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What'd you roll on your D10?
5.
Oh. It rakes across your scalp. You feel like the flesh and hair pull free, and blood starts to run down along your neck and the side of your face. Ooh.
Don't forget Isfael.
Yeah, I guess Isfael is probably just kind of pulling at. She would probably break the hobble that she had, so you would hear her thundering towards you. Carol, why don't you remind us that? I totally forgot about Isfael. So, yeah, pretty lucky. You're definitely that's going to bleed, but it's going to bleed like a scalp injury. If you've ever seen those, they bleed a lot. But thankfully, it doesn't get into your eyes. So you won't take any mechanical disadvantage from it.
Yeah, so I think Moira has turned to run towards Lily, and this thing kind of catches her, and she screams, but she continues going.
Yeah, you like pull there's a section of your hair that is pulled free in the scalp along with it.
Yeah, that hurts.
So it misses your neck, but it catches that. Yeah, go get.
And for all that, it's only an 11 to hit.
Oh, it sees you coming and it just tugs Lily off in the wrong like another direction, and you have to change the stroke, or you're afraid you'll hit Lily. But you're standing there now. And that will bring us to. I lost the initiative. Era 4.
Back to the top. Oh.
Back to the top, Era 4. So Moira runs, and you see this this Bargus leap at her. So that's leaving you facing these 4 Bargus now.
Yeah, Airforce gonna see this thing like leap up through the air and right at the back of Moira's head as she runs. He's just going to turn as it like falls. It has no room to maneuver in the air. He's just gonna like executioner style, just bring the sword down at it.
Yeah, perfect. Just so you know, Rob, you're starting to robot a little bit, but I was able to understand what you said.
Apparently, I've become Rob too. That's gonna be 9 damage.
Yeah, you execute it. You with the grace of your Dunedain training, you quickly bring your sword across it. It falls to the ground, heavily dead. But the other 3 turn, snarling at you, looking to get their prize. And Badu, you're up. You got 3 left. So 3 are harassing you, and 3 on Aerofor. And there's 1 that's pulling Lily.
Yeah, so he's going to he's just going to then try and clean up what he has. And I imagine now by this point he's probably nearly back to back with Aerofor, at least relatively. They're within range of each other, and he's going to try and take 1 more down in front of him.
Yeah, dude, same thing.
Then I'll hit for, and then so that'll hit for 5.
Yep, that's enough.
So he just knocks another 1 down, and will kind of half turn his back towards Moira and Lily, and kind of swing the torch and see if he can't try and basically aggro all the Vargas to give Aerofor some room to escape.
What's your passive perception?
Passive is 12.
It's 10. Okay.
Is it 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you turn and you wave this torch, you're not certain, but as you see the flickering of the torchlight, it kind of sputters a little bit as you swing it through the air. You see some darker forms emerging from the grass and shadows towards Lily and Moira. You're not certain if they've seen it.
Yeah, so he would so then he would definitely turn to Aerofor and say,
go help them.
And try and take his place and try and aggro all of the Bargus in front of him with this torch to give Aerofor room to go get them.
So you could easily get into where Aerofor is, and so you're going to take 2 attacks of opportunity.
That's fine.
As you move out of the threat of those 2. But if you remember, those are at disadvantage because you're using your torch. Yeah, that's going to miss. And that is going to miss. Yeah. So they lunge at you, and you get alongside Aerofor, and now and these other 2 start closing in. So there's now 5 of these Barghest around the 2 of you. And they're going to attack. So it'll be 2 on you, Badu. Wow, I'm rolling like crap. 1 of them does hit you though, and you're raging, right?
Not now. He's not.
Okay. So you're going to take 5 piercing damage, and I need that con save, please.
Okay. Con, that's a 13.
Okay, that's a save. So you're going to take half of this poison damage.
All right.
So you're going to take 2 poison damage.
All right.
And then 3 will attack you, Aerofor. That's a miss and a miss. And a miss. Your ancestors are with you, Dunedain, as you're able to fend off these 3 Barghest. And there is now the one that's tugging you, Lily.
No, I keeled over dead when you weren't looking.
Yeah, you're dead. Good.
No, it did. No, go ahead.
So this one is going to crunch into your leg, now feeling threatened by this great warrior coming in. That's going to be a 15 on the die, so that's 18.
Ouch.
So it kind of
another scream.
there's like this relief as it releases your leg, and then it crunches back down on it for 5 piercing damage. I need that save and throw, please. Good Hobbit.
Oh, great. That would be a 9.
A 9. Yeah, that's not going to be enough. You're going to take 7 poison damage as you feel this thing coursing through your body. Your leg starts to go numb. You just feel it's like this icy cold running down your leg and running up along your abdomen. And let me see. 3 of them burst from the grass. 2 of them lunging at you, Moira, and the third looking to help its. Yeah. These things travel in packs. And that'll be a miss and a hit on you, Moira. So I'm going to need that save. You're going to take 1 piercing damage because it's halved. And 10. Okay, so you're going to take 4 poison damage. And it kind of that same effect. It nips at your calf, your unprotected calf. It doesn't quite sink its teeth deep into your flesh, but it's enough that you can feel the lower part of your leg starting to go numb. Error 4, you're back up. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, my bad. There was that one that was gonna get Lily. 15. Oh wait, you never got up, did you, Lily?
I never did.
Oh,
I haven't had my turn yet.
That's still the Bargus turn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But you were going to go back to Arrow 4. I was just going to remind you not to do that yet.
Yeah. Well, I think Moira goes to you and.
Yeah, me and Moira and Isfail.
Yeah. All right, so let's do the damage first on that nat 20, Carol.
Okay. I will be down.
So that's 3 piercing.
Yeah.
And
And I will fail the con save because I'm passed out.
5 poison.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a D10 roll, Carol, and a D100.
Oh, dear. Okay.
So this one comes running up, and you try to get in there to protect Lily, Moira, but you're just a second too slow.
D10 roll is 1. What else do I roll?
D100.
D100. And that's 43.
43. That'll be your left arm. So this one runs in from the other side and grabs your forearm and starts tugging you. It's kind of pulling against the other one. And you said the 1?
Yeah.
Its teeth rake against as it pulls across your arm. It kind of comes loose and it rakes against your hand. The dagger that you were holding in that hand, a Rodrith's dagger, falls to the ground.
Well, if it's grabbing my left arm, won't it be attacking my left hand?
Yeah.
But it's not the hand I would have the dagger in, but is it?
I don't think you would. I assumed it would be your left hand because the other one grabbed your shoulder. I don't think that you would be able to.
I'm not sure if I ever specified which hand she would use. So okay. So okay, we're dropping Rodrith's dagger or Rodrith.
Yeah. I mean, you could say it's in your right hand. That's fine if you want to do that.
Nah, that's all right. It won't matter. I'll be dead anyway.
Right. So that is your turn. Give me a death save. Lily took.
Oh crap. All right, that was a 19.
Okay, so you have 1 success. Perfect.
Yes.
Moira, it's your turn. You have these 3 Barghest. You see 2 of them tearing at your little hobbit friend and trying to pull her away.
I would like to pick Lily up. I'm raging, or furying, as it were.
Yeah.
And essentially, I'm tug-of-warring with the Hobbit, and I'm trying to pick her up and essentially put her over my shoulder.
Oh yeah. So you want to pull her loose of these Barghest?
That is a natural 20.
Whew. Yes. Yeah. Awesome.
So that's my action. And then she's just gonna look over her shoulder and shout, "Arafor!" as she feels her legs starting to go numb, and she can see Lily's head kind of lolling about. We're in a rough spot.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Oh, yes, on the horse.
Don't forget about Isfael. I mean, we've been forgetting about. It's not my. I don't see it as my job. But I'm just saying.
Kyle,
I feel really bad that we forgot.
Put him in the initiative for me, or put her in the initiative for me.
She'll always go on your initiative, but yeah, if we could slap her in the initiative, that'd be great.
Okay, she gets a modified 20 to paw one of these things.
Yeah, out of nowhere, there's this blur of your warhorse as she comes up and just slams one of these Barghest down. It's leaping up to try to get its prize, and Isfael's not having anything of that. You hear the crack of bone and the crush of its flesh as it just gets hammered to the earth. Nice. So Isfael is there with you. Arafor, back at the top. So by my count, there's 5 of these Barghest that are threatening you and Badu, and now there are 2 near Moira and Lily. And Lily is just hanging limp.
Yeah, Arafor hears Moira yell, and he steals a quick glance over, but there's still so many of them over here that as the next one kind of charges, he gives it a kick in the jaw to kind of send it off course before coming down with his sword again.
I love it. I love that.
Hitting and killing it.
Yeah, these things, I guess you guys have figured they don't have a lot of hit points, but yeah. So you bring it down another, so their numbers threat. Now, one of the things the rest of you would notice, and Arafor would probably already know this being with his ranger training, is that unlike other wild animals, these don't run. Typically, if you were hitting wolves like you guys have, they would flee, cut their losses, but these do not seem to look like they're going to break. Badu, you're up.
So
4,
Badu,
4 are there.
Yeah, he's just going to, he sees Arafor cut one down. He's going to just bring his axe up against another one. And that'll do it. Yeah, so he's just going to take down another one of these. And he turns to Arafor again. He says,
I got these, go help.
And tries to, he kind of tries to nudge himself in the way, trying to get Arafor to go help the girls.
Yeah, you kind of push in, and when you do so, so you'll get 2 of these Barghest will attack you, and 1 will be on Arafor. So we'll do yours first. Oh, nat 20 and a 4. So,
okay.
Wow. Thank you, Carol. That's Carol's die. You guys can thank.
Damn it, Carol.
I knew you were going to blame me.
Oh my god.
Do they still have disadvantage from the torch?
Oh, that's right.
Huh?
Ooh.
Yeah, so he misses. It got a 4 on you.
Yeah.
Whew.
Cursed by my own ruling.
Oof. All right, I'll take it.
I'm actually glad you remembered that, Jeff, because I want to be consistent through here. And so that one misses. And that's a good thing. I just rolled max damage on the poison and the... Okay, and that one will miss you too, because it got a 19 out of 3.
Whew. All right.
This game science die is wanting to kill people tonight because I'm rolling another... My Chessex is my off roll die, and that one's rolling low. And an 18 to hit you, Arafor. I believe that will hit you. So I just need the con save, and that's going to be 7 piercing. Yeah, and you're just going to take 1 point of poison. It barely can you're able to like almost step away from it, or you yank it free, I guess, before the poison can get into the wound. Let me see. And there's 2 on you, Moira. One of them is going to turn and angrily nip at Isfael. So let's do that. 7 is not going to hit your horse. And then we'll do an attack on you, Lily, as one of the ones that you were stolen from leaps up to try to pull you free. And that's going to be 19. So wait, how does that work when someone's so that's an automatic fail, right?
On the con check?
On your con.
Yeah, probably. Or on my death save.
Does
or
he
on
get
what?
disadvantage because I'm like holding her and trying to bat these things away?
I wouldn't think so. And that's
You
a really
can say no. I'm just trying to wheedle.
I am just trying to think of how that would work. I'm going to say no, and let me tell you why. Because Isfael, one of these things, your horse kind of, horses do that kind of that screechy noise that I can't make, but I've heard horses do it, and it's probably one of the most unnerving things to hear. So Isfael kind of makes one of those noises as this thing kind of lunges at her. So I imagine that distracts you just long enough that this other one takes opportunity to leap up and grab at like a dangling foot of Lily's. So I believe
I didn't need that foot.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I'm afraid she's probably done with it. Okay, what do I have disadvantage in rolls?
What I think happens is you actually, is it 2 failed death saves?
Yeah, if you take damage when you're down, it's usually 2 failed death saves.
Yeah. And I was going to say, because of the poison too, as well. So that'll put you at 2 fails. And that's the last of them. Lily, give me a death save, please. This is an important one.
Oh, crap. Well, people. Oh, I do have inspiration. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh my gosh, please use your inspiration.
Yeah, you have 2 inspiration. Gosh, guys.
Can I use another one?
No, you can only use 1.
Because I only rolled an 8. And I had a 7 the first time.
So you get to add your con to it.
That's only 1.
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
So you...
I'm at
death
9.
saves are flat.
Oh, they're flat. Yeah, okay.
Doesn't
Never
matter
mind.
Anyway. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to fudge it, Kyle. I want to,
Yeah.
but I won't.
Fudge it. Fudge the die.
So
Hit the table.
we'll go. The action goes on. Moira, it's your turn. You're holding Lily, trying to keep her. You realize this Bargus is kind of leaping up, and you turn and kind of swat it, and it backs off. And it is your turn.
So Moira's gonna swing at the one that just jumped up at Lily.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 17 on the die.
Yeah. You're gonna kill it. There's just no way it has enough hit points to survive a blow from you. So you swat it down, and you turn, protectively keeping Lily from the other one, and Isfael is ready to strike.
Yeah, Isfael is thrown off by the nipping and rears and comes down but misses. And I can just imagine Moira is holding Lily, sees the kind of blood coming from the foot, and is almost cradling in the one hand over the shoulder this little hobbit form, not realizing what's happening.
Yeah, you would not know. I mean, Lily is not, I mean, she's failed her death saves, but I imagine she's still like raggedly breathing. And Arafor, back to you. I believe 3 Bargus remain in front of you, and the great warrior, Badu.
Arafor is going to sneak another glance back towards the others. How many were there over there with them now?
Just 1. And it seems like Moira and Isfael have that one kind of, it's kind of like got its hackles up, and it's looking at both of them, growling, probably deciding which one it's going to attack. but you have the 3 that are pressing in on you and Badu. But those are all you see. You see no more coming into the clearing. You don't hear any howls off in the distance.
Yeah, Arafor is just going to try to take out the.
Oh.
Because 2 of them are at Badu. Only one is right in front of him, so he's going to try to take that one out. And he will, doing enough damage as I have been doing to kill it.
Yeah. Cool. So you whittled the number down now to 2. They're kind of pacing back and forth. Badu. I mean, actually, Arafor, are you staying there? Yeah.
Seeing only one left over there, I think the moment to go help, as Badu had asked him to do, is kind of passed. So he will stay.
Excellent. Yeah. I can I just say I love Arafor that Badu keeps trying to get you to go over there, but you're standing your ground there.
This is
love
the
that.
3rd time.
Badu,
the last
go.
time, he's like, "Hey, get out of here," and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." And now this time, he's like, "Go do something." He's like, "Nah, I'm good." It's like, damn it, Jeff.
No, he's not even saying I'm good. He's just plugging
ignoring.
on.
Yeah,
Blocking
like,
with
what?
a shield,
What?
cutting them down, kicking them. Yeah.
Jeez, man. All right, so as an aside, normally I will not rules lawyer anything.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat. Don't worry about that. Just,
okay. I will not accept this lying down. My briefcase has been opened. My suit firmly pressed. Anyways, I'm going to.
So 2 of these Bargus are here.
Yeah, he's just gonna keep swinging at him. Oh, that is only a 9 on that one.
Yeah, that'll miss.
Yeah. So he's probably distracted by Arafor ignoring him again, and he's like half looking at Arafor while he makes this just kind of foolhardy swing, and it just hits the ground, and he quickly realizes that he should probably not look away for very long.
And that actually opened you up, and one of these things lunges at your face. You kind of drop back and bring up the torch, but not before it bites into your forearm that's holding the torch. You're going to take 5 piercing, which you can have to, I think, 2. And then I need that con save.
Ooh, that's a 10 on the con.
Yeah, that's not going to be quite enough. Your arm starts to go numb as the poison gets into the flesh and makes its way into the blood. And you're going to take 7 poison damage.
Ooh.
And the other one will attack you, Arafor. And that is going to be a sad miss of a 5. So that one you're able to kind of just push aside with your shield. And there's one for you. Yeah. So this one will attack. I think it'll attack your horse. So that is I need to re-ink this die. That's a 21, so that'll hit. Can you give me a con save for Isfael, please? She's going to take 4 piercing damage.
An 11 for con save.
Yeah, she makes her save. So she is only going to take 2 poison. So this thing kind of lunges up and only gets bites at her front shoulder. Before I imagine you reach over and just kick this thing off of your horse. And it is Lily, you do have another death save. Thank you, Kyle, for pointing out that only crits are 2 automatic fails.
All right. Well, it's 16.
All right, so you're 2 and 2, yeah. If my memory is correct, yeah,
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And Moira, you're up.
Moira continues her assault against these creatures. She doesn't know what they're called, but the pain and the tears that are coming into her eyes now at feeling Lily just be limp in her arm, she swings wildly.
Yeah. Oh, you miss?
Yeah.
Yeah, but does it create an opening for your horse? You guys have trained together since she was a foal.
Not unless a 9 hits. Dang.
Oh, you are cursed. This is like the Bargus. This Bargus has plot armor. Just saying. And Airfor, you're up. There's 2 left for the 2 of you. This battle is winding down.
And soon there's only one left as another one comes at him, kind of stepping a quick jump back to avoid its bite before just thrusting downwards into its back and ending it.
Yep. Perfect. And Badu.
All right, so this is the last one in front of them, right?
Yep.
All right, so yep, just a quick and easy strike. Ooh, that's a 14 that should hit. And then so he just kind of cleaves this last one, almost like as he's turning to do so, and will immediately just rush over to where he sees Moira and Isfael and Lily, and seeing Lily on Moira's shoulder, just completely out cold. He grips his axe and the torch tightly, and his eyes just get really ferocious. And as he just enters this awful fury, barreling towards these last few Vargas.
Perfect. Airfor, you would have movement too. So I didn't know if after you finished that, would you have turned to?
Well, the other one hadn't been dead yet, so he would have.
Oh, okay, so you would have just turned
yeah.
on that one. Yeah, that would make sense. So you see Badu turn as he kills this last one and start moving. So I imagine Airfor is starting to move that way too. It's just more of a thematic thing than mechanical. It's more than a mechanical thing. That leaves it to the Bargus. So the Bargus is just growling at you, Moira. It's looking. You see its eyes dart up to the dangling hobbit that you hold. It kind of licks its jowls, and then it pulls back and disappears into the dark. You take a swing at it with your sword, but you're surprised at the thing's speed as it's going to mechanically disengage, and taking us out of initiative. Though Lily, I guess if we're out of initiative, you're 6 seconds. I'm just wondering if I should make you make that death save now, or whether someone.
Well, or you can stay in initiative long enough for Moira to do something. Make me make it. What the heck?
Yeah, I'm gonna make you make it. That's what we'll finish out this initiative line.
All right, 15.
Okay, so you're gonna stabilize. And so yeah, we are now out of initiative.
Oh man!
Off in the distance, you can hear a lone howl, and then it fades. This light late spring, early summer breeze kind of washes over you all, carrying with it the smells of spring. That was my plot armor one, man. Of course it's going to live, Moira.
I mean, for Lily.
No, the only reason why I made that one run away is it was the only one, and Badu ran over with the torch. So I figured that would be enough to break it.
If it didn't have a pack, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, so we are out of initiative. You look at the hobbit that's dangling, and she looks bad. She's bleeding from several spots. The wound in her thigh and shoulder and left forearm, not only is it it's already swollen, and it feels hot to the touch, Moira. There seems to be some sort of infection associated with this poison, and it's already fighting its way into this poor little hobbit.
Moira lays her down as gently as she can and looks up at Arafor. Can you do anything?
Healing is not an expertise of mine. I can try rudimentary patchwork, but that's all it would be.
How far are we from Tom's?
That is a good question.
You by your estimation, you thought you were a day or so away. Because you remember you had found that shortcut.
We should be about a day from the forest. I wouldn't long we reached. But a lot can happen.
Yeah. So I believe what you said, Arafor, was that you think that you could be there in the day, and you definitely think so. It is probably just past the middle of night. You would guess just by looking up at the sky. And Lily does not look good. Her breath is short and ragged. I mean, any one of you could do a rudimentary try to clean up the wounds with clean water and bind them. I mean, all the rest of you have seen combat, so you could do field stuff. It probably wouldn't be pretty and probably not as effective as Lily, but you could try rubbing some of her salves and stuff onto her.
Yeah, and do we get a sense that it's the poison that we have to be the most worried about?
Yeah. I imagine Arafor would tell you as much. I mean, he would probably frown looking at the injuries, knowing that they were deep, and so the poison got in deep. She definitely needs healing.
Now, I would still be unconscious, right? Or with stabilization, would I come around, or
You're unconscious? That was the D4 roll I had you do.
Oh, okay.
You're unconscious. You're fully unconscious. No one can rouse you for at least 3 hours. That's when you'll
Okay.
start to come to consciousness. Yeah. But your party does not know that.
Moira stands up, limping slightly, and she begins saddling Isfael. And she looks at Arafor, says, "Go. Take Lily. Go to Tom's. You know the way."
Are you sure?
Yes, Isfael trusts you. Badu and I will follow behind.
The track shouldn't be hard to follow. With a horse of this size, I'll make sure that they're kept as clean as we can. And he would just give a nod and walk up to Isfael and probably like hesitate a moment as he like approaches the horse. But then would nod and get onto it with Lily in tow and kick it in.
Yeah. So you mount up on Isfael. I imagine, Moira, there's some sort of forehead to forehead farewell that you exchange with your horse. And he thunders off into the night, cradling Lily, the limp form of Lily, in front of him. It's the last thing that you hear, Moira and Badu. You standing in the quiet, the crackling of the fire, the breeze, gentle breeze blowing across the grass, again, giving that rustling sound. And then the beats of your horse, Isfael, fade away. And with that, so will this session end. Thank you, players. That was really great. That was a really good last end of combat, and I'm going to end the stream.